everybody and welcome to another video. So it's been a while since we've done a review video, and this is one that I meant to do a long time ago, but for whatever reason I just put it off because I wanted to do it properly. And now we've got the overhead cam that looks at the wheel and the rig. It makes this particular review a lot easier to do. So with that said, today we are going to review the Sim Racing Addict DDU. Now, for those of you who don't know what a DDU is, I'm sure if you're watching this you probably do, but for those who don't, when you see GT3 cars, like real life cars, I'm talking about like not just GT3 cars, any particular racing car, and you see the dashboard, like the digital dash with all the information such as gears, revs, fuel map, traction control, any other car information relevant to the driver. When you see that on the screen, that's not actually part of the car from factory, that's a DDU that basically, I'm going to embarrass myself here. I'm going to put it on text what it stands for. I'm guessing something display unit. But basically, like anything in terms of real life driving, as sim racers we want immersion, and as part of that, getting extra gear that makes it a bit more immersive and makes it seem like you're actually inside of a real car. It only makes sense that we might want to buy things like that, so that's why you can buy DDUs, and various brands sell them. You've got all things like Bosch normally make them. You've got Grid Engineering, I know SimLab make their own DDU, and they all pretty much look the same. The casing may be slightly different, but in terms of screen size, they're all around sort of 4.75 inches, and yeah, they pretty much look the same. So really, in terms of what you want from a DDU, it's the quality of the screen, not just the size, but the quality, like the resolution, and just the number of LEDs, because you can get varying number of LEDs in DDUs. Some of them come with, I think, 18, then you get 24, and 32 tend to be sort of the upper limit. You can get more, but sort of 32s around roughly where you want to be, because obviously the more LEDs the DDU has on it, the more information you can display. Now, one thing about DDUs is they are expensive. They're definitely a luxury item when it comes to sim racing, and the price varies sort of around, you're typically looking at around £300 to £500. £300 being the SimLab one, which is the cheaper end of the scale, and then you go all the way up to like Grid Engineering, forgive me if that's the wrong name, those around £500, and it's a lot of money because, as I say, if really they are just basically a plastic case with a screen in it. There's not too much that differentiates them. What you're paying for really is the support, the profiles that they provide in terms of, the games and stuff, the quality of the screen, and then just other features such as, like the number of LEDs. But really, there's not a whole lot that differentiates them. So you can sort of think, well, £500 seems a lot to spend when I can get one for £300. But you can actually get one for a lot less, because this one was £240 with the fitting. I have to say, I've been blown away by this. The quality of the screen, I don't see how, surely it could be higher resolution, but I don't see the point in a higher resolution screen. This is as good as you get. Everything's crystal clear. I will put the specs up here so you can see those. But yeah, in terms of resolution, you don't need a high resolution screen. It is touchscreen. I can't say I've ever used it as a touchscreen because I've got obviously sim racing gloves on, and you don't really need to, because if I need to cycle through the pages, I choose a button on the wheel. But it is touchscreen if you need to, and you can configure it to sort of switch through pages with the touchscreen. LEDs, so bright. I have them at 50% brightness, and they are plenty bright enough. Obviously you can get up to 100%, but one thing that I did get a note from the maker of this, that's another reason this is a brilliant product as well, the support you get from him, both in constant updates to the profiles and just help in terms of instructions, all kinds of things that he'll provide you. But one thing he did say is if you put the brightness up to 100%, you can sort of get some, you lose kind of the colour fidelity, because obviously they're so close together, the LEDs, when you get that, so brightness starts to bleed across each other. But 50%, you do not need to go above that. I can't see a use case where you need more than 50% brightness, because that is definitely bright enough. So the Sim Racing Addict DDU has 32 LEDs, and you can see these here, so they're up both sides here and then across the top. And those can display various types of information, such as obviously your revs, so you get a good idea when you can change gear, the flags that are out at the moment, so your yellow flag, or if you've got a meatball flag, white flag for last lap. When traction control kicks in, you can basically configure them to display whatever you want, but I'll touch more upon that later. So in terms of the actual unit, and obviously, like I said, we will cover more details about the screen and everything later, but in terms of the actual unit, it's a 3D printed one, with the only thing on the back being the logo, so I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but you've got the Sim Racing Addict logo here, and the product name here, and that's basically it. And obviously the cable, which actually connects to, so it's a mini USB, which connects to a USB cable, and that goes directly into your PC or USB hub or something. But other than that, and that's basically it. There's not a whole lot to it. The main thing, obviously, we care about is what it looks like when it's on, and I can't really show you that now. We're going to hop over to the rig in a minute, and we're going to do the over the shoulder cam. You can see that. So yeah, there's the back of the case that I was talking about, with obviously the logo. You can see where it's been 3D printed. That's not a knock on the quality. The quality of the case is actually brilliant. So yeah, basically we're going to go over now to the rig. So in terms of how I'm going to do this review, we're going to go over to the rig now. I'm going to stick the over the shoulder of the cam on. I'm just basically going to go through what kind of information it displays, the quality of the screen, the LEDs, and how well it interacts with SimHub. But before we do that, I just wanted to go through again quickly the benefits of this one to me. So to buy it, it is from Etsy, and some people might sort of raise eyebrows at that already and say, well, why is there not an official shop? But don't for one second let that put you off. As I say, the guy's got tons of feedback. He's a good seller, but once you purchase it, you just get so much support from him in terms of instructions, guides. He gives you loads of links for different games and various sort of dashboards that you can use with the game, how to install those. And he has constant access to a profile, an LED profile for the LEDs around the screen, and that's updated. So if there's a new game, new car that comes out for a particular game, he'll update the profile to support that. So you do get that ongoing support, which when it's £240, compared to a £500 one, you might think, well, that's one area where the price sort of explains itself. But no, you do get that continued support, and credit to him for that, because yeah, he doesn't necessarily need to do that, but it just goes to show why it's a worthwhile purchase from this particular seller. One thing I will mention as well, so when you do purchase it, it gives you the option of the fitting that you can have. And that supports all kind of wheels, so all the Fanatec wheels, Simcube. So for my particular fitting, obviously I've got a DD1, so again I'll show you the fitting on the wheel at the moment, but basically there's magnets in here, and there's a magnetic fitment on the DD1 that's just screwed into the screw holes, the fitting holes on the DD1, and then you just plop that onto the fitting and it just sticks on, and it, no matter how much vibration or anything goes through the fitting, I've not once seen it even move, let alone sort of come off. So it's a really solid fitting on there. But yeah, so the fitting's great because you just pop it off, and when you need to move it, it's no having to unscrew it every time. All magnets, and those magnets basically cover the back, so you can fit it slightly different heights depending on what suits your particular setup. Right, so here, as I was explaining, here's the mount, so you can see screwed directly into the DD1. There's these basically two risers and joined, and at the top there's magnets. And in terms of how this fits on, literally just a case of, and then it's stuck on. Right, so I've made it a bit bigger now so you can actually see the screen and see what's on it rather than just this tiny little thing in a corner. So by default, when you first open SimHub and set it all up, then you'll get a number of dashes that you can use, dash being what's displayed on the screen and how it's all laid out. So this is actually one that's recommended as part of the instructions. And it works with, well, the three games that I've tried it with, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and iRacing. Works across all three, and all the information works. So this is a fairly universal one. I'm not sure if it'd work with other games. I might try it with F1 2021, but certainly for the three main games that I play, it's been great. And as you can see, I mean, I know that this setup in terms of the camera isn't the best, but I mean, what you can't see that I can see is how crystal clear the picture is and how vivid the colours are. And as it goes back to what I was saying earlier in the other sort of part of the review, where I just don't see how, if you increase the resolution beyond the resolution this screen is, you're not really going to get any benefit from it. From the size of the screen, how close you are to it, I don't see how improving the resolution will give you any benefit. This is absolutely perfect for what you need. Everything's crystal clear, all the text. So this particular screen here, it will just display lap times for all the drivers. So if you're in a practice session or qualifying, you can see your time and how it stacks up against other drivers. Obviously, something like that with quite small text, you'd need it to be really clear. And it just is. There's no sort of pixelation. From this distance, everything's easily readable. I don't have to sort of squint or move in like that. I can just see it. And of course, the one thing about the screen is because you're driving at the time, you haven't necessarily got the luxury of having a lot of time to look down and have to concentrate on the information. You just want to be able to give it a quick glance and get all the information you need. So you see this screen here is giving me just session info. So it says the session, offline testing, because I'm just doing a practice session at the moment. The track, alternate international, and time remaining of the session, again, 0 because I'm in my own session. You've got track temperature and air temperature here. You've got the car behind and ahead deltas, your current lap time, predicted lap time, last and best. And then down the bottom, you've got traction control, map, ABS, bias, and lap. And this screen just gives fuel, so remaining, consumption per lap, and laps remaining of fuel, entire temperature, water, oil temperature, oil pressure, and boost. Now, you might be thinking, because the screen doesn't necessarily come with the unit, you have to download it yourself. Why am I going through all that? I just want to sort of give you an idea of the kind of benefits that DDU can give in terms of the information. You might argue that all that is available in here in terms of the overlays that I've got, in terms of like the relatives, the standings. I've got the telemetry. If I want to, say, for example, in ACC, it already comes with stuff like track temp, tire temperature and stuff. So what's the benefit? But in terms of getting that immersion, obviously, when you start adding overlays to the screen, it can kind of take that immersion away because obviously in real life, a driver doesn't have little black boxes and on the windscreen with all the information. They basically have a DDU with the information and they have like a little track or lap timer and stuff like that. So it's kind of a mix of practical information and immersion. And for me, this does give me a benefit in terms of the information I see. And we'll go through when I take the car for a little drive in a minute, in terms of the rev counters on the LEDs and all the various things like when traction control kicks in and stuff. That's more useful for me, the LEDs, but also the information is really good on here. So, if I do want to look at fuel consumption, rather than cycle through the black box on screen, which is kind of tricky when you're having to concentrate on driving, I can just press a button up here, get it on the screen that I want, and just give it a quick glance. And I can instantly get that feedback in terms of how much fuel I've got remaining and how much I'm consuming per lap. But anyway, let's hop in now and have a look in terms of what it looks like when you're driving. So you can see straight away, it pops up like it would in a normal screen. And if I looked at what's on screen in terms of my in-car screen, it would look identical in terms of you could kind of see the LEDs here. So the blue, yellow flashing ones, if you look on the screen, what's on there visually or just over here, you'll see that it's blue and yellow. The LEDs are really clear, basically. They give you all the information in game that it would give you, but depending on how you have your field of view, they might not always be in shot, so you might not see them. And unless you've got some like a flag box as well, you might not be aware of what the LEDs are telling you, or you might not even be able to see them. So this gives you that information straight away. You can see straight away it's telling me our limiter's active because I'm in the pit, what gear I'm in. So if we drive away, you go, that disappears like it would in the game, and I can see all that information. And you can see I get the gear or the rev LEDs. And again, because I can't necessarily see those because of my field of view in game, that's really important to me because when I'm really concentrating, sometimes it's easy to forget to change gear. Obviously, you get the audio cues in terms of when you're familiar with the engine and when you need to change gear. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, you do forget. So having those LEDs flashing and being easily in your peripheral vision, it does help because, as I say, they're not... Oh, that's a good start, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't necessarily see. So to have them flashing there. So to say, one of the other benefits, again, if you haven't got a flag box to see the sort of flags or the LEDs that are going off, it's things like just knowing what flags are out. So for example, if I get some damage, I wonder if hopefully we get a meatball for that. Yeah, we should do. I can barely drive. So we should get a meatball in a minute. There we go. So you'll be given an orange or meatball flag, and you can see here I'm now getting these LEDs flashing orange, basically telling me if I didn't already see, if you got crew chief or your spotter turned on, he'd be in your ear telling you. But again, heat at the moment, if you did miss it, you've got this visual cue, and that will happen for any flag, whether it's your white flag, blue flag, you get the blue and yellow LEDs flashing, and green flag, any flag, it comes up in the same way. So you do get that that visual sort of feedback as to exactly what's going on in game, and that to me, not just for immersion, because it does kind of help you feel more immersed and more in a real car if you want, when you get all this, because it's basically what a driver would see in real life. But not only that, it does really help you forget, when I've sort of just hop on the sim rig and I don't bother turning all this on, I forget how much I miss it, because I don't see the information because my field of view's done the way it is, so I don't see any of the digital dash, and yeah, I don't have that information, and I'm not the best driver, as you probably know from watching my videos, so sometimes I need that extra help in terms of having all the information easily accessible. Right, so one of the big plus points for me about this particular dash, and again, it's not necessarily unique to this dash, because any screen or dash combination with any sort of DDU, I guess, as long as it's compatible. But for this particular one, what I really love is the fact that you can use a complete dash set, which works for ACC, and it just, again, going back to that immersion factor, it just adds a whole new dimension. So this will basically mimic, the dash will mimic the exact dash in game. So whereas before the one I showed you of iRacing was more generic one, it would look the same for any car, this will match the in-car one. So for example, we're about to hop into the Aston Martin. If I click drive, you can see that this will now show up an Aston Martin boot screen, and then we get the exact Aston Martin dash screen. And it adds that little bit of extra to the game that you just wouldn't get otherwise. And again, especially going back to the field of view, I can't really see that. I can see the LEDs, I can see the very top of the dash, but I can't see a whole lot. So I don't really see what's on the screen. So to have it there in front of me is perfect. So if we go back to, I don't know, let's change car. So that was the Aston Martin. Obviously, if we then go and do, I don't know, the McLaren. Where are we? McLaren. There we go. Because McLaren's quite a unique one. So start that. And you'll see again, starts up. Quick to load everything up, by the way, like in terms of, stuff starting in time for the race. So if I can click drive, we get the McLaren boot, like ignition screen, and there we go. And again, going back to the quality of the screen, I know it doesn't necessarily show it because of the webcam, but this is just so clear. All this text, all these images, like the car image here, everything's so pin sharp that, it doesn't look, you're not looking at it going, oh, I can tell that's basically fake. To me, if I was in an endurance race and I was in the zone and just lost in the game, then I would look at that and it would just make me feel like I was in a McLaren. So yeah, I'm basically going to leave that review there, because obviously now all I'm showing you, I'll move on from a review of this actual particular unit to a review of SimHub and all the capabilities of SimHub, which I'm not going to do. But what I wanted to just cover was the screen, was the LEDs, and how from game to game, and it just works and it's seamless. There's a dash for every game. You can use this with any game, and that's the benefit of it. It's not just something for a particular game. Like say, for example, a GT3 wheel, you wouldn't want to go do rallying with this, or certain games, similar an F1 wheel or a drifting wheel. Whereas you might have to change that. With this, you can just leave it always onto your rig, and no matter what game, you can use it for information for that particular scenario. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. In terms of a score, God, it's been so long since I've done a review video. I can't remember what the scores were. Out of 5, but I can't remember the categories. But basically, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5, because I think the key point to make about this is just the price. It's £240. I've said that a few times. If I am wrong, I will have put the text up by now to correct myself. But it's £240. And when you compare that to the price of more expensive options, like the Grid Engineering one, like an official Bosch one, it's just absolutely mad how much you get, in terms of the money you pay, but the quality. I can't see what double the money gets you in terms of features or quality that this doesn't have, because the way it's built, it feels really well made. The screen is really well done. All the LEDs are there. Like, it's got 32, so all the information is possible in terms of, you know, it being able to show everything that it needs to and sort of not have to overlap each other. It's just a really, really good device for the money. And I know a lot of you may think £240, whether it's cheaper than other options or not, is still a lot of money. It is definitely a luxury item. You know, it's not something that you need for sim racing, but you could argue for sim racing, all you need is a wheel clamped to a table and a set of pedals. Everything else on top of that is a luxury item. So a lot of people, you know, with sim racing spend thousands of pounds. Like, look at Boosted Media, man. He's spent, God, I think it's $100,000 in terms of Australian dollars or whatever it is that he spent on his rig, and it's incredible. But you don't need to spend that. Like, that is massively, massively more than you need to spend. So this kind of falls into that category of, no, you don't need it. No, it's not gonna make you a much better driver, but will it make it slightly more immersive for you? I think so. Will it help your driving? Yeah, again, I think so. I think you could get a bit quicker because you know, if you need to see tire pressures or you need to see tire temperatures or you need to see little bits of information you don't necessarily have access to when you're just driving and looking at the screen, depending on how all your overlays and how your field of view set up, it can help you. For example, with endurance racing, it's been so helpful for me just to be able to tell my teammate and know exactly how much fuel I got. Right, so I've got to come in this lap, or right, this is my stint at this point. If I keep going to the full length of my stint, I'm going to have this much fuel left. And, you know, that helps us plan our strategy. So it does help you driving. But again, you don't need it. It's not going to be, you know, it's not going to make you a better driver in terms of you absolutely have to have it. So definitely a luxury item. But I think for £240, if you can afford it, you know, if you are someone who likes to spend a lot of money on your hobby and sim racing and you can afford it, I'd say 100% go for it. And do go for this one because, as I say, he's a seller on Etsy, but he's doing you a massive favour by selling it at the price he is. And then not only that, but giving you the constant support and in terms of profile updates and all the other help that he provides. And I've messaged him a couple of times, like, since I purchased it, just about questions on the device, and then just talking about, you know, the product itself. And he replies really quickly. So he's not just like take your money and leave you. He will give you that support, and he's happy to help. So definitely do give him your money if you're going to purchase it. Not only because it'll save you some money going elsewhere, but because you are getting a quality product and quality support. Because I hope you found this useful. The next review that I will do will probably be, let me see, that's it. So this flag box here, again, from Sim Racing Addict, so the same seller, another quality product, and I will review that because it is another quality product that I think will benefit some people. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. As I say, I hope these reviews are helpful. And the gloves and the shoe reviews are probably my most watched videos. So yeah, clearly I need to do more review videos. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you do like the video, please do give it a like. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, because it really does help the channel. And yeah, I really do appreciate it. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.